Berachot Perek Tet, Mishnah Daled. So the Mishnah continues. We discussed yesterday, or not yesterday, we discussed in the last Mishnah about a person who cries out or about something that already happened. That's a wasteful tefillah. Nonetheless, the Mishnah now continues and says, what would be an appropriate tefillah? When is an appropriate tefillah? About the future. Says the Mishnah, Nichnas lekrach, if you enter into a city, into a great city, if you're entering, obviously you're a country bumpkin, you're going to a very intimidating place, you're anxious about it. Mitpalo shtayim. You should say shtei tefillot. Achat beknisato, ve'achat b'yetziato. One when you enter, and the entering tefillah is going to be something like, please HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please God help me in my endeavors in the city. Ve'achat b'yetziato, and once, obviously, thanks when you leave the city. Ben Azai omer arba. Ben Azai says, no. 4. Four tefillot altogether. Shtayim beknisato, ushtayim b'tziato. And how did this work? V'noten hodaya l'she'avar. He always should give a thanks for the past. V'tzo'ek la'atid lavo. Okay? And he should cry out la'atid lavo for the future. So you're always past, future. It's interesting because in the explanation, some say is that in the Tanakama says you do achat b'knisato, so that's the future, ve'achat b'yetziato, and then thanks for the past. But Azai says no, you give hodaya l'shavar, past, and then future, meaning 2 when you go in, thanks for getting me into the city, and then please help me. And then when you leave, thanks for helping me, and please help me on the way out. Okay, so the Gemara says the following. Tana Rabbanan b'knisato, the Gemara just explains what the Mishnah is talking about. B'knisato ma'u omer, what does he say when you go in? God willing, you should bring me into the city in peace. Nichnas omer, and once you're in, you say, thank you for bringing me in. Bikesh latzeit, and when it's time to leave, you say, God, please allow me to leave in peace. God willing, you should help me leave the city with peace. And just as you have brought me out in peace, from ta'adim, from take my steps. This is actually the guts of our tefillat haderech. Nonetheless, the idea being that whenever you're involved in a situation which is challenging or anxiety feeling, or you require assistance, or unusual, or even not unusual, the idea of giving thanks to God and praying for the future should always be on our lips, should always be on our mind. Okay, there are other opinions about this last section of V'noten hodaya l'she'avar mitzo'ek la'atid lavo, because if you notice Ben Azai, according to the Gemara, Ben Azai would say 2. 1 is for the future and then the past. And then another opinion says, V'noten hodaya l'she'avar, no, first you do past, and then you do for the future. So, is the 4 past, future, or future, past? So that's a machloket among those who interpret the argument between the Tanakama and Ben Azai. Is it an argument, or is Ben Azai adding on? You can interpret it in any way you see fit. Nonetheless, what emerges from all this is a very clear understanding that even both according to the Tanakama, or even more according to Ben Azai, the perspective and the understanding that a person should always have this idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with him and that he should turn to God in prayer. You know, it's interesting, this idea of trying to be aware and having the idea of prayer on your mind. So I was never used to be, when I commute about half an hour, 30, 40 minutes my commute. And I would never recite Tefillat HaDerech because I was always in the understanding that Tefillat HaDerech you only say if it's an unusual trip or what have you. But then, first of all, people showed me the sources that it's really not true, that a person should say Tefillat HaDerech when they're going on anything longer than a regular, normal 5-minute drive, 10-minute drive. So anytime I drive from Yad Binyamin to Yerushalayim or to work in Elkanah or what have you, I'll recite Tefillat HaDerech. But I even think it's more than that. I think it's more about, here I have an opportunity to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu in my mind, to have God in my mind, to offer words of thanks, to offer words of tefillah about our trip. Especially, we don't think about it, but driving is unbelievably dangerous. Do we connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in those times, or we think that life is normal, life is unusual? Same thing, I never used to recite Berachot Goma when I would fly, because it's inherently very safe. Everybody knows that when I would fly, from Israel to the United States or vice versa. But over time, I began to think about the larger ethic, the moral that the Mishnah is trying to convey to us is the importance of having a sense of tefillah, of having a mental sense of prayer to God. And I think these Mishnah, they're so powerful in that when you're nichnas lakrach, when you enter into a situation, when you enter into a big city, do you say these tefillot, thank you God for bringing me in, or do we seem to be normal? We're sort of distant from God. And I think it's that closeness that the Mishnah is trying to convey to us. I want to dedicate this learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman, and wish you all a good day. As always, comments or questions, rspolter@gmail.com.